blazing. Perfect, unadulterated black light. Red hot, you know? We're at a critical point. As the day after the birth of the SUN, we know new time, new season, new awakening. We're wondering now if we're ready. If the Jamaican people, if the melanated people in the Americas are ready and recognize that it is now time for that revolution. That's where we're at now. It is the revolution time. We don't have any other option. We have been cornered in a position that leaves us no other option if we want to guarantee any continuance of the life that we have as melanated people in Jamaica, Cuba, Haiti. We have to recognize that it is revolution time. Time for a change. No, to get a grasp of the level of deception and treachery that has been played on you, let us look, and I would ask anyone who is listening to check. Do the check while I am speaking. Just go and Google or any search engine you use. HR 748, the CARES Act. Now, it's a reason why the CARES Act is relevant to you understanding the extent of the treachery and or incompetence of your present political leadership. Backward. To show you, and it's not just the Jamaica Labour Party, but the People's National Party is totally failed in its responsibility to provide objectivity for the Jamaican people. Now, the HR 74 CARES Act, you can go on the United States government website, the uscongress.gov, and you type in HR 748, and you will see the CARES Act come up. Now, let us bear in mind, see, this CARES Act is connected to the incompetence of Backward, to the treachery of the Jamaican government against the Jamaican people, to the treachery on a general global level of global leadership to the global citizenry. Now, the CARES Act in the United States Congress was passed and signed into law by Donald Trump on the 27th of March 2020. But if you go on the site and you look, you will see that the CARES Act was introduced to the US Congress the 24th of January 2019. That is a whole 14 months before you heard anything about coronavirus. All the people in the US Congress, all the people who worked in the printery that printed the documents, and all the secretaries through whose hands the documents passed and was given to the respective senators, all these people were aware that something was coming called the coronavirus. 14 months before you, the people, had any idea that it existed. You see, they can't remove it from the US government's website. It's there. Go and check. This is testimony to the incompetence and wasteness of Backward Andrew Holness. He sold you out to internet. This is treachery at the highest level. Supposed to be strung up and taken out of Garden House and driven to the sea and a black put around his neck, and him and his family get thrown off. Because Marcus Garvey teaches us that when leadership fails like that, we must get rid of them family and them children too. That's a bad branch. Get rid of the whole tree then. Because all the detriments that we go through as our people, him and his family benefited, them economics and them benefit increased, and all the members of the Jamaican government and of Parliament. The United States Congress passed the CARE Act, which was the act to free up all the money for the coronavirus in March of 2020, the 27th of March. It's there on the U.S. Government Congress website, uscongress.gov, and you type in HR 748, and it will come up, and you will see the progression of the act across the Congress floor. The day it was tabled the 24th of January 2019. 14 months before you heard anything about something called the coronavirus. The Coronavirus Act was passing through. That means this is a plan. And your prime minister and your leader of opposition and your opposition party sat down in cahoots and allowed this scam to be stuffed down on you and all the inconveniences. Because however many people may have died from it, it was clear that somebody planned to have this happen. And your leadership did not have the testicular fortitude or the ovarian fortitude to stand up and say, I'm not going to put my people through this. We are Jamaica, you know. You see, if Jamaica did leak out, we'd have to wake up the whole world, you know. If Jamaicans said them not take it, the whole world would have listened, you know. If the Jamaican prime minister to get up and say it's a scam, you know, world leaders would have probably been assassinated, been executed in their respective countries, because the Jamaicans would have stood up. Instead, you had backward, jump and pass a CARES Act in Jamaica, playing monkey see, monkey do. Here again is an example of your leadership. Playing monkey see, monkey do. Because America passed a CARES Act, and look what Jamaica passed. It's a CARES Act too. But America's CARES, he rushed and passed one in no time. Or we would have to assume that it was being prepared. But the fact is that the act entered the U.S. Congress floor 14 months before they claimed the coronavirus had an outbreak. It can't be an outbreak if you started to table an act in your Congress about this supposed outbreak that just happened. But you had it passing an act to deal with the economic downfalls of this outbreak. You have it passing through your Congress starting 14 months before on the 24th of January 2019. Now, if Jamaican people did serious like how them supposed to serious, backward would have to answer to that. Andrew Trang, this next idiot where the Minister of Health, what his name? I can't even remember his name. The man the name never come off from my tongue. Remember so we did him the day you when we did just start work there. You understand? Tough time. They're all waste. These people should be confronted aggressively, quite possibly violently, based on what happened. If the act, you see, they can't question, they need to answer this, you know. Mr. Christopher Tufton, Mr. Andrew Holness, and all the members of Parliament, are you saying that this dirty Rasta is far more researched and studied and concerned about the genuine care and love of the people of Jamaica more than you who have been given a political office? Is that what you're saying? Is that what the Jamaica Labour Party is saying? Is that the dirty Rasta up in a maroon town cares more, possess more understanding of international politics and its machinations and mechanisms than you do? Because I'm sure that the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is in contact with the American Secretary of State, Office of the Secretary of State. You're in constant contact and are being informed. And at no point did you check and see that this act was already in their parliament 14 months before they came to you with this fallacy? That is incompetence at its highest. At best, at worst, it is treachery and valid reason for summary execution. Listen to me. If you don't understand yourself, Jamaican people, the fact that you try to allow this to pass under our eyes and enforced in error, someone else plan on us. You see, he's not plan that him Andrew backward Holness had, you know. It's someone else planning. Him enforced on you, you know. The evidence is there in the U.S. Congress website. He can't call them and tell them to take it down, you know. We're supposed to print this and carry go drop this off in front of him house, you know. Every Jamaican drive past him house, you know, and drop off this, you know. It was printed from the U.S. and make him know, so we know Answer to that for us in a backward. Answer to that, Christopher Tufton. All this posing, telling people about they must take vaccination before them get water and all of that, when it's someone else's plan that they had laid down clearly long before. The bill was tabled January 2014, 2019, and was going through the progression of the bill, and its amendments are there on the Congress's website. It was not signed into act until 14 months later, so 14 months before this thing was in process and in planning. And there are others who knew about this. So it is not a sudden outbreak of any corona. If you are preparing and had constructed, construed, crafted governmental documentation to handle the shortfall of this so-called corona outbreak, it meant that you knew about it, planned it, organized it, and are at the head of it. So when we see the Jamaican politicians allow us to be subjected to someone else's plan and intent and force it on us, lock up Jamaican people, take away our human rights, my understanding as a king and as a practitioner and perfecter of law speaks clearly that those responsible in the Jamaican government should be summarily executed. You have failed in your duty to us. You have actually provided it. We have evidence of conspiracy against the people. Just give me an ounce of the opportunity and I'd march to that boy's house in Beverly Hills and take him and his family out and put them in front of a firing squad. And all the members of parliament, all, both JLP and PNP, you are derelict in duty, People's National Party, for not getting this. If the dirty Rasta can stay in Maroon Town, you, for real, Mark Golding, you don't serve no purpose, Mr. Golding. Mr. Bunting, opposing and stunting, man. And it's zeros. Matter of fact, you're less than zeros. You are actually a minus quantity. Backward a minus whole heap. You to stunting and Golding and all I know is minus quantities. Because you're failed. You're total failures in your defense of the Jamaican people's rights. You all sat there and let this scam be foisted on the people. The order of Nyabingi. Death to all black and white oppressors. Look at the foolishness now with them come with you, right? This so-called Omicron variant popped up and was identified and isolated and proved by a South African medical doctor. All of a sudden, we see the government of Jamaica and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs put out a list of African countries that traveling from them is banned. This is knee-jerk. These boys are not even vagina response to touch. What me say? To how the Prime Minister and the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the government respond. I have touched many of vaginas and I do not find that kind of trigger responses in none of the vaginas that I have touched, caressed, and fondled. But one news article, and like a gaping, wet, stimulated vagina, we see the Jamaican government responding and splaying itself out, legs open wide and banning African countries. How is it found in America? How are you not banning America now? That's the conspiracy right there. So the Omicron come out, you know, and all of a sudden, in ban African countries. And then now, we see yesterday and the day before, Christmas Eve and thing, we see say, all of a sudden, this idiot come out and tell the people them say, they can stay up until 1 o'clock. As if he got a text from the coronavirus that should not go and touch road until 1:30. People don't say back out a drunk and take on for fool. You must understand, you know, the true power, you know. You see the way I speak about him? I mean, I already declared to him, you know, and to all of them, say, yo, I want a challenge. I dare enough to come lock me up. Because any other Jamaican talk with me, talk. Excuse me. Any other Jamaican, excuse me. Any other Jamaican speak what I speak about the Prime Minister, they're going to charge you for dissension. And them come and charge. I mean, I beg them to come and charge me because they know they can. Because we are ready to prove we're indigenous autonomy and separation from the crown-owned corporate state of Jamaica. You see me? So, incompetent backward pops up in January, and all of a sudden the incompetent done said backward, and the bunch of jingbangs that them have in Parliament. That's who they are. We found the right term. Thanks to Sadie, my mother, for using that word to remind me of who I must not associate with. Jingbangs, a bunch of jingbangs, anchor in round the Prime Minister and round the Jamaican government, sucking our blood dry. What do? Omicron come out and Minister of Foreign Affairs. In no time, Minister of Foreign Affairs goes and ban African countries. And then on Christmas Eve, within the same month, tell you that you can stay out until 1 o'clock. As if the Prime Minister got a text from the girl named Corona saying she nah touch road till 1:30. Do you understand the stupidity of it? You were out in the towns all day. We were out in there even before Christmas Eve. During the day, the commercial entities do not lose profit. We're still doing business with them. We are the ones suffering. And we have been interfacing and intermingling, and none of us caught anything. Just cool and Wolmerian. Straight. Mr. Nugent. Yeah, great Wolmers boy. People must check out this bridge in here. I was so proud to know, say, yes, we had this man tried to school, you know. Was ahead of me, but one of the big men that enforce wisdom. Kirk Nugent. Serious genius out of Jamaica. If you want to listen to him, you need to go and check out his page. Kirk, post up your links, Kirk, man, for your page. You see me? The coronavirus, the hypocrisy, the treachery against the Jamaican people by both the JLP and PNP members of Parliament is made blindingly apparent. If you go, may I ask, you know, somebody if you can go and go post it up and look. Go and look. Go and Google or whatever server you use, HR 748. Go to the United States Congress, uscongress.gov, and you see HR 7, type in HR 748 in the search and it will come up. And you'll see that the act was tabled in the US Congress from the 24th of January 2019. The act was not passed in the US Congress until the 27th of March 2020. That's a whole 14 months before you ever heard of coronavirus. Everyone, listen to me, all the people who get an idea of the scam. Before it was tabled in Parliament, it means that it had to have been crafted, printed, distributed to all the congressmen and senators long before it was tabled in Parliament. You understand me? So all these people in America knew about it, and who they chose to tell. Who they chose to tell would have been said, listen, this is coming, that is coming. Put your company in order and you can get money. Because that was the CARES Act was about. That is treachery by the Jamaican administration for not looking out for your interests. You voted them in. They're not looking out. How is it that they're following what America tells them without any thorough research of our own? It would have been a simple perusal. A simple perusal by any one of, you see, all of who in the Parliament and who under the Jamaican government salary for get fired. I better them did give me the whole of them money. None of them don't work nothing. They are waste sperms to the benefit of Jamaican people. Quite a lot of them should have been swallowed in a blowjob. Real waste sperm. Sit down in a Parliament collecting Jamaican people money and producing nothing for them. Then now you're going to come and tell the people them, so them can go out up to 1 o'clock on Christmas Eve. As if coronavirus send you a text that you now come a road until 1:30. Unapologetic, uncompromising, unadulterated, perfect, black, light. Part of the liberation process, because we're talking revolution. We are set to Jamaica, so there are a couple of options that we have and chances to free ourselves from the shackles of these reprobates. We see the formation and the coagulation occurring of the United Independence Congress. There's a specific reason why the wording was chosen. So you know, if you align to nothing, we can be independent. Come in. No, this is the closest you have to free yourself, because remember, you know, both the JLP and the PNP functioned before independence as colonial governments. That means they are both beholden to the British Crown. Let us not forget when Mrs. Manley, Edna, he's not born Jamaican, said that certain people were too black to be the face of the party. It should be Norman. The People's National Party was founded after Norman Washington Manley took active role working for the Crown as the Queen's Counsel and as prosecutor for the Crown to make sure that Marcus Garvey went to prison and could not win the election that he was going to win. That's the foundation of the People's National Party was about stopping black development via Marcus Garvey's People's Political Party. Sent Garvey to prison and then started the People's National Party. Took Garvey's idea because prior to Marcus Garvey, there was no political party in Jamaica. That's when I show you Kirk how them have a narrative, my brethren. Marcus Garvey was going to win the council election. And there are letters of the arguments between him and Norman Manley. Norman Manley despised Marcus Garvey because Norman Manley was British and Garvey was clearly African. You see, in the selected speeches of Marcus Garvey, Marcus made a statement where he said, I could be comfortable like many of the regular Jamaica, the relatively prosperous black Jamaicans, to put my hands in my pockets and click my heels together. Marcus was speaking and saying he could just have been initiated at 7 in the Mechanics Lodge, the Independent United Order of Mechanics. In the Mechanics Lodge, in order to have learned the craft of printing, you had to have been an apprentice, the first degree of their Masonic lodges, and entered apprentice. Then you become a fellow of the craft, then you become a master, according to their foolishness. So, Garvey said that he was saying, I could just use the Masonic connections, and once a master mason entering on the perfect points, hands in his pocket, clicking his heels together at a 90-degree angle. You understand me? Garvey said it. Norman was a master mason, so yeah, it was Queen's Counsel in the British Army, all kind of things. And that corruption sent Garvey to prison. And then started the PNP, got his brother, father bastard pick, Bustamante. His father's bastard gay picnic. Go and research the history. Bustamante did go afar and got married to a man. So he took his father's bastard gay son and tell him, say, let's co-opt this from under the black people. Because if Garvey was allowed, it would have been a black-dominated country. You would still not have the Jamaica, the oldest institution in Jamaica is the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, It is the cause of our sufferation, Jamaican people. The Jamaica Chamber of Commerce is actually the biggest cause of your economic sufferation. Next to, because the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce, being the oldest organization in the country, existed at a point when black people were the commerce. From slavery, it is a slavery institution set up to guarantee that the white men and non-black Jamaicans will always be profiting off black Jamaicans. So, instead of the government makes a deal with Toyota to provide Jamaica with Toyota cars. We have members of the Jamaica Chamber of Commerce having car dealerships and being dealer for Honda, dealer for that. We don't need them. Why we need a middleman? Kill the middleman. Understand the game that they're playing for you. Get rid of Garvey. Start PMP and GLP. Control the workers via. Because that's what it was about. Controlling the workers, because their economic power is based on how much they are being made to pay you. That's why, no matter how unsuffering Jamaican people, all these companies consider consistently reaping profits. Wake up to the scam. You see me? Wake up to the scam. So they have sold you out, literally, because, as me say again, we can't talk this enough, you know. It's revolution conversation you're having. Right now, most of who are listening or watching this, or who will eventually might listen it, are subjects of the crown, because all your documents, right now I can't collect $1, you know. I can't pick up a FedEx or anything. I can't send anything because I hold no documentation. I have no contracts with the Jamaican state. That scam of a full capital's name that them give me, them don't want to argue with me about that, because them know say me know, and they don't want to prove it in court with me, because once it becomes precedent, my people them free, you know. That's why them avoid. That's why they make sure say them stay wide of the king. You understand me? Because I want them charge me for something, so we show them, say them out of them Jerusalem, them can't charge Dean for nothing. I am not a subject of the crown. But the average person, including entire Maroon town, I'm the only Maroon in a compound town who is not a subject of the crown. Listen to me again, my people. The only Maroon in a compound town right now who is not a subject of the British crown is Daniel Basra. Every other Maroon have Jamaican government documents. This is an understanding. The same thing with all Jamaicans. We still have Jamaican government documents. It is a contract where you sign and agree. Once you sign, when you go for the driver's license, all these things. And they're operating on that understanding. So, oh, you agree to this. Look here. The levels that them having are like fool, you know. And I'm playing them with people. The Prime Minister claims that the straw man, same way, man. Everybody would suggest that you go and watch a documentary called The Straw Man Deception. Understand the deception of your straw man. That's that full capital's name on the birth certificate. It's not you. It's grammatically it is in full capitals. That's grammatically not you. Grammatically, if I'm going to address you, the living human being, I must start it as a noun. Capital followed by lowercase. That's a noun. In full capitals, that's not a noun. Check all your government documents, passport, driver's license, birth certificate. The name is in full capitals. The Black's Law Dictionary unequivocally states that the only thing you address in full capitals is a corporation, a person, i.e. a person, a registered entity, legal entity. Now your lawyers and all your lawyer friends know this, you know, and are laughing at you, because that's the basis of them being paid by you. The fact that you are kept ignorant of this. That's the treachery against you right there. So you are assigned to be, as it says, corporation. You're operating as a corporation. Corp, dead. Oration, speaking. You're nothing more than a dead speaking in their eyes, and that's how they treat you. Daniel Bazar, however, stands as a living, sentient being with a soul. We stand as the living, sentient being with a soul. I have no contract, no contracts with them, no obligations. And they know that I possess the requisite clarity, understanding, edification, and the commanding articulation to defend that in any tribunal and forum. So they stay wide of Basra. But them run up them mouth. Me say them have all Maroon Chief lock up. Me say them have Colonel Pink and all them things there. Me say them have Maroons. Every Maroon Colonel, hear the joke. Every Maroon Colonel operating as a Jamaican, you know. And one Maroon operating as a free man, you know. The school of Kirkman, they understand. The minute that I says that I am a living, sentient being, them try to jump on. We have a team of Africans where I try to go and protect our phone now from them, man. And how much virus the Chinese them try sending from my phone and malware and them things. You understand? We're playing this game. This is a real war for us. This is not a joke thing. As you say, they don't want us to release this knowledge. You see, the average man who has this knowledge would have already joined their Masonic lodges in order to have gotten it. I didn't have to. Give thanks and praise. We have gone up the cataracts of the Nile and stood on the holy grounds of our ancestors, being raised to live in perpendiculars of blazing light. They can't stop me from even uttering it. I didn't take their oath, so I can talk. It's not. They say it's a secret to them. I didn't take an oath. No chat. If they took an oath to keep it secret, well, tell them to shut up. I took an oath to dispense light, and I will do that. So we operate as living sentient beings. You, on the other hand, using their government documents, are dealt with as a corporation, as you're a dead speaking. You have no rights. You have waived them. And you're under their will and whim to be manipulated. They can change the laws any tomorrow to suit them, and you have to just work with it. Because you subject yourself to that document via the application form. You know what the word application means? When you fill out an application in law, the word application, as per the Black's Law Dictionary, means to beg, plead, and to give up whatever it is you're willing to give up in order to get that thing that you're begging for. That's why they make you fill out applications, because you're entering into a legal sphere, and the interpretation of the thing is based on law, not on language. Again, we say brains overdone every single time. I don't need nobody to like me, but I dare you to challenge and prove wrong one thing that Daniel Basra said. May I bet any Maroon from any Maroon town can show me, say them, the whole of them not sit down upon Jamaican government. They're actually, the Maroons using Jamaican government documents are actually putting their entire freedom in compromise. The fact that they're comfortable using it. You Jamaicans still using it, putting yourselves, you are in a position of compromise. It's time for us to wake up, and the real revolution is liberation from that scam by the British Crown. That's where the revolution begins. Again, we say to you, take your birth certificate. In the middle of the birth certificate, at the bottom, like this is the certificate, right down here, in the bottom, middle, last line, there is a red number. Ask the Registrar General's office, what does that number reference? They can't tell you. The black numbers at the top, they can't tell you what these numbers reference, but you use this to identify yourself, even though you mean that I was only Jamaican as a child, seeing that birth certificate and questioning it. I remember Mrs. Gooding at Mona Prep and Mrs. Mullings teaching me clearly how I identified myself as a noun. Your name is Arthur Daniel, A-R, capital A-R-T-H-U-R. That's how I spelled Arthur. I always spelled Daniel with a capital D followed by a lowercase. Give thanks to Mrs. Gooding and Mrs. Mullings at Mona Prep for allowing me and afforded me that clarity that has been able to liberate me from this stupidness. So when I learned that, and then I looking at my father's first Jamaican passport. And when I look at my father's Jamaican passport and I see the name in full capitals, I went on a quest as a young man, why is the name in full capitals? And we start discover the treachery. You understand me? The treachery is so deep that it has come now to today, where if you go, I ask anybody, please, while we're having this discussion, go and Google HR 748. It will come up and it will show you the uscongress.gov. It is the CARES Act. It was signed into law the 27th of March 2020 by Donald Trump. However, its progression is shown across the U.S. Congress floor, and you will see that it was tabled in the U.S. Congress the 24th of January 2019, 14 months before you heard about this thing. All the people who worked in the printer office, all the congressmen, secretaries, and their families and their friends that they chose to tell, knew that there was something coming named Corona. You have been had. As a matter of fact, you have all been hadden. So, just cool and miss out new gent, Will Marion, every time. Yeah, man, I was blessed. If I go school with man like Kurt Newsend, Mr. Mark Chisholm, one of my exemplary. You see, Mark Chisholm people are one of my exemplary. As a young Woolman's boy, go school and see them man, they too far my head of me and just know, say, yo, this man have attitudes and disciplines that I want to emulate as a young boy. Much respect. Kurt Nugent, super brains, left and go foreign. Right now, man, liberate enough people, mind. Give thanks for the experience amongst the item. Liberation time of our people and of ourselves, because we are in the trap. No, like I said, if you take the birth certificate and look, there's a red number in the middle at the bottom, and you call any international broker and say, because the registrar general will not want to tell you, to show you how they try to trick you. Go on the internet, look at your birth, people, go now if you can't find on a birth certificate, and go and look now while Daniel Basra talk, and look on your birth certificate, and see if you don't see that red number at the bottom, because they probably soon stop printing with it, you know. Because if you go on the Jamaican government's website, and if you type up Jamaican birth certificate, the government of Jamaica posts up the birth certificates without the red number. Them cut off that part. But it's on your birth certificate that you must have in your hand at your house. Call any international broker. Good afternoon. I'd like to check the value of a stock. He's going to say to you or her, give me the stock number. It's on the American birth certificate. To my American friends, do that. We have all my aunties, them and cousins, them are born in America. Don't do that already and prove it and mash it. Them not pay bills in that full capital's name. No, you do that and call the broker and says, I'd like to check the value of a stock. And he's going to say, give me the stock number. And you give him that red number on the American or the Jamaican or the British or the Canadian birth certificate. And he will tell you within a minute or so what you are valued as a stock to the corporation called the State of Jamaica, or the corporation called the Commonwealth of Canada, or the corporation called the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, or the Commonwealth of New York. Because they're all part of the British Commonwealth. You're being deceived by your lack of understanding of the words you use. You see me? So, when the Jamaican government sent a bill to me in the name of Arthur, in full capitals, all I do with that is I turn it over. Let me give you now. I turn over that bill. I don't pay no bill come to me in that full capitals name, because that full capitals has a bank account. I am not that full capitals. I am not a corporation. I am not a dead speaking. I am a living sentient being with a soul. So since that full capitals has a bank account, do you know how dumb you have been to be paying its bills? Every bill come to you coming at the full capital's name, you know, and you've been stupidly taking your hard-earned life energy, convert it to money, because that's what money is a energy measurement to quantify your life energy, so someone else can benefit from it. And you're taking that to pay that corporation's bills. on the erroneous assumption that it is you. As I was speaking to a wonderful dear friend, I was saying there comes to a point when one must acquire the understanding of the realization of the difference between your person and yourself. I'm operating in self. A person is something that's created. It's not you. So all I do is I take that bill, whatever bill they send to me in the name of Arthur, and that last name that my father family was forced to use. My father tell me, saying, no, he'd be proud if I stop using it, you know. Because him saying come to the realization too. And he says, it's not our name. Do not have to use it. He told me I will not dishonor him by not using it. He says, I will honor him by letting that name go. Love Bobby Barrett. I done my father. Now, if you take that bill and you turn it over and you simply say to them, accepted for value. Now, remember, you know, the bill coming in currency. So since it's currency, it's a current, it's water flowing. Your job is to never stop the water flowing. So you don't let no document in Babylon stand with you. Even if you write on it and say, I don't understand this, and send it back, you have not dammed the waters, you have kept the current flowing, and it is the problem of wherever it stopped. No. Understanding of the science of their currency. So we say accepted for value. We're not arguing it because it didn't come, the bill never come to me, it come to the full capital's name. So I'm going to, since it's arrived at my doorstep. Yo, accepted for value. And then you write serviced by account number. And you write that red number. And I bet you these drunkards never write your next bill or said nothing more to you. Because they now understand that you clearly know the game at the highest level. This is taught within their Masonic lodges to brothers as they evolve through the degrees. But then they took an oath in the lodge to keep a secret that anything them learn at the lodge, them can't talk outside. So them can't share it with you know. So they become the slaves who get to own slaves. Being an indigenous national and an accompanying maroon means that there's no slavery in my blood. Them can't even, hear the joke why them are afraid of Basra. Them can't even try claim slavery upon me, you know. It's a compound with this, these high degrees of clarity and alacrity. With the reality of me being a descendant of the indigenous and a living evidence that they exist. If you did want to know if Maroon bad, just check out Daniel Basra. How Daniel Basra on a buck shuffle upon Babylon and some Maroon did stay. Unapologetic, you see it? This is where the game is at. This is how they're playing you right now. You have to know the process of the liberation of the revolution is part of freeing ourselves from that scam. So there are several ways. We see the UIC come in. You can vote in that third party, you know, it's easy. Because the last election, Jamaican people, let's go back to mathematics, the living God. The last election, it was a 50% that turned out. The GLP got 30%. The PNP got the next. It was over 40% didn't vote. If that 40% was the vote for the UIC, regardless of who voted for the GLP and PNP and that split, the UIC would be in power. Now, to my brethren, Joseph, who know and make sure say him get a copy of the live. We know many of the UIC people now will listen. Joseph, our brethren, him dep on the thing. Joseph, we are set to yourself, we're ready to step, but here we are set to yourself. You have to put in, the UIC needs to be preparing a true constitution for Jamaica, because you cannot win and then go swear into that constitution, then you would have defeated the purpose, sir. You understand what I say? You cannot win and then go swear into that same constitution. If you run upstairs and hold on, because people are come check me. Hold on. That means say you have to. Go on, brother. Brethren, me there on a live on Facebook. What go on? What you look for? Hardly. Isn't that there? He must have gone up. He's gone up on the hill or somewhere. Yeah. You can have to stay here and shout him. Yeah. Aye? Yeah, right on Red Roof. Respect. Yeah, man. Because the reality is that, you see. So we are said to Joseph, said, Joseph, you have to do that. You have to put in a true constitution, because the Jamaican people do not have a constitution. This is how them scam you, Jamaica. Yeah, we show you a Prince of Paradise. You see it? Yeah. This is part of the freedom land. Just a little Prince of the freedom land. Unapologetic, uncompromising, undefeated. So, what you have, my Jamaican people, is a document that gives authority to your so-called politicians from the British Crown. Here's what the document says. And while I'm speaking again, we say, we're going to go check these things out and see if a foolishness they in attack. You see? So the document says, the title of the document is The Order of Jamaica, 1962. That's the head. The heading of the document is that, you know. The Order of Jamaica. That means what you are thinking is a constitution. It says Order of Jamaica, 1962. Then you have what we call colloquially brackets that you would call parentheses. And then you have parentheses, and within the parentheses you find the word constitution, not in capitals, but as a noun. Meaning, and every lawyer knows that on a legal document, the word that is in parentheses has no bearing on the page. It's almost pretend that it's not there. It's just for reference. So the document is really the Order of Jamaica. All now Jamaicans don't have a constitution, but you keep saying the constitution is a lie. You don't have a constitution. And you need to wake up. You need to get out of this foolishness, my people. If it meant something as serious as it means, it's supposed to. I shouldn't I alone there so with them clarity. Enough with the access to information is out there. Panareel. So look at the document. Google it now. Jamaica Constitution. Or better yet, because what the Jamaican government puts up, them take out 2 pages, out of it, Go to the United Nations website and they have a copy in total of the Jamaican Constitution, original as it was made. And then you see the game that's being played on you. The Order of Jamaica, 1962. Then it says parentheses, then you see Constitution. That means it's not a constitution, it's an order. And then below it, it says, an order from the crown. So, it's a fool that after you see that, you still have to believe saying, I make dirty boy them in a parliament, make you feel like you free my bumbo clot. Sure. There are times I wish I possessed not this intelligence. I wish I didn't have this knowledge. Somebody else to carry the burden, a judge. I may ask. Because it frustrates me. I get angry. Because I see so much in you, my people. I am a mere reflection of any greatness that I could possess. So it's like, me admire Uno and me watch. While me admire Uno make them take Uno for fool. And me kick down them done said boy there. And me a dirty rasta, so I'm to them tighty, spooky boy they will pose up like so them can't do nothing for no. It says an order in council from the Queen. From the chambers of the crown, that document they come. Now what it means, an order in council means that she didn't have to go to Parliament with it. It's like an executive order that the president is allowed. I'm not to go to Congress with. Because we have to break down this. You see, the forte of kings is to understand political and governance machinations and mechanics. And those who do not understand it are not here to lead you, save you, or take you anywhere worthwhile. No done said just get up and fly a plane. As bright as I might be, I cannot get up and fly a plane either. It is someone who has been preparing over a number of years to fly a plane that gets up and flies a plane. think me can be a swimmer and just let me get up one day and say me stop swim, me go fly plane or me go build shoes, or I'm gonna be a carpenter while I was a swimmer for the last 30 years. Doesn't happen. We need to stop putting incompetence in positions that are dire dependent on our move forward, because if these positions fail, we get stuck and become stagnated. We might lose it. We need to stop it. But we also have a job to self. You see, the responsibility is that I couldn't trust nobody to free me. Marcus Garvey, Haile Selassie, Bob Marley, Martin Luther, Malcolm X already made it clear to me that we are in need of liberation. And they did their part, and I understood that we must take it to another level. This is a progression. We will pass on the baton when the time comes, but make sure so we run our leg good. Couldn't trust anybody to do that for me. Yes, so we're there now. So it says an order in council, an order from the crown, order in council from the chambers of the queen. Here's what it means. It means that a two-third vote by the British Parliament reverts Jamaica back to a British colony. Since it was an order in council and didn't go through the Parliament, if the Parliament have a two-third will vote tomorrow and say, listen, these Jamaicans are wise enough, and Jamaica reverts back to being a British colony. That's why you have a Governor General who represents the Queen. You're so far from free, but you were just all playing hypocrites. It's just like how you have the child molested them in the family and everybody are going like, you don't know them. Hypocritical mockers in feast, man. On the gnash up and rasta within the dirty teeth and see it now when the children is decrepit and terrible. In the 70s, you disrespected and gnashed up on rasta, and still rasta is in the brightest light. Because those who do not find rasta in them culture are chasing down dirty Babylon illusion, that's the option, Reality of Rastafari or the illusion of the non-Rastafari. Make up your mind. We said to them, we said to all Maroons, we said to all Jamaica, we said, fine, a ballad we're brighter than the rest. I bet you you can't find the only thing that can prove superior intellect to I and I right now is a Rastafari. A them teacher will know them. No ball tail. Because we would not call you bald heads, because a head would have demanded that you possessed a brain and would have used it. So clearly, we are the heads. Rastafari, head creator. What does that make the non-Rasta? Ball tails. They are the tails. And we declare that unapologetically. Don't like it. Not chat. In this desperate situation and still peace posing and speak is poking. Sister, don't know what to do. But now we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do, my people. Because we know the revolutionary them dep on the line, We are taught the sleepers them, We're not taught the revolutionary them. We listen every day and I encourage and empower and give her the phone calls and make me know, say, don't stop, thank you. No, the sleepers them, man, them cruel. Because them fight against the light of Rastafari. Yeah, and I use the name Basra, Basra. The man from Basra with his garments dipped in blood. At all times, we will spill for it. Basra is a fortification. It means the sheepfold. See, Abraham met Melchizedek coming from the slaughter of kings in the city of Basra. Who is this that cometh from Basra with his garments dipped in blood? We will slay their kings. We're not going to die for this. This is too important. But we're born ready to kill for it, When I know Mr. Nice Guy, big up my uncle, grow me up to sleep with him, big dirty barrel 45 on my belly. Even while we were living calm, decent lives, but just in case. Yeah, when I don't play. When my uncle Colin a bury, I take my big 45 over Maroon Town graveyard and knock it and make my gun salute. And my gun no license and the commissioner can't come ask me about it. No police in St. Elizabeth can't come ask me about it. Maroons were never disarmed. The things that me I like some joker one you can play with. If no bad come up your feet now. Sure. Make us see where the Jamaica constabulary can bring it. Bring its best. And find the best lawyers. And we're beating our court and have to give back our firearm them. No chat. We're not stepping lightly with you. And this is the thing. We're not step lightly too much. We understand and we're ready. We don't care if some others not ready, you know. We don't care about position, you know. We care about birthright. And we are programmed, edified to defend that birthright. The ancestors then put it in eye. Nobody can take it away again, you know. Liberate yourself now, Jamaican people. This is not a drill. This is the real McCoy. So you exist in a state of automatic subservience, you know. Because they didn't tell your granny in 1962 the scam that they was playing. And the granny just said glad, yeah, we're independent, yeah, it's a festival song. And that was it. Now we're here. Make us liberate ourselves truly. So when you hear the backward, I run up its mouth, and I talk about becoming a republic is empty symbolism. Independence is the empty symbolism. Because it's still for open the parliament where I mean the Queen Mace of in there for sure say a fear or authority. So him being Jamaican Prime Minister is empty. The emptiest symbolism in Jamaica is Andrew backward oldness as the Prime Minister. That, sir, is the emptiest of symbolisms. Pathetic excuse for leadership. Empty symbolism was independence. Empty symbolism backward Andrew Holness and all of the members of the GLP and PNP past administrations. Empty symbolism was in you never telling the Jamaican people what I'm telling them now. Was in you never having the testicular nor ovarian fortitude to stand up for the people's true rights. It's almost like you allow the white people to bully, you know. You know, allow Britain to bully. You couldn't just get up and say, listen, because if you don't wake up the people, you know, there's nothing that can stop it, you know. Me know, so when we wake up Jamaican people, we have to go run them off, have to see them, have to go take in the Jamaican people. Make them take to the sea. Yeah, man. We have put out the challenge to the Commissioner of Police. Say, yeah, man, send the police them come for Basra, man. Because we well want art for confronting them. Because we know when I can carry me out, come up in a Maroon Town and charge me for nothing. We are showing us that we have a jurisdiction and they can't deal with it. Sure, take this for a joke, my people. Now, when you understand the game of the birth certificate and the scam of independence, you understand that you have something to fix for your children. It means your grandchildren are you have a choice. Do you want your grandchildren to be born free Jamaicans or British subjects? Do you want them to be free Jamaicans? Because the office of your birth certificate, you're them canning out on their own wealth. There is an assumed understood wealth that is part of your estate at the moment you're born. So you're born on this island. Whatever the wealth, you are automatic part owner of a part share of the wealth of whatever this island produces. So there's water, oil, gold, diamonds, bauxite, anything. Your parents sign over that to the British Crown. That's why they register. The word register comes from the Latin word regis, which means crown. Register means to assign superior ownership to the crown. That's why you don't own the land, because when you buy the land, you go register the title. So in registering the title for your land, you have assigned superior ownership of that land to the crown. That's why you now become a landholder. I, however, and my other Maroon compatriots and family, the Maroons are the only landowners. Because if you didn't own it, you can't pay a tax on it. So you register your car after you buy it. After you buy your car, you then assign superior ownership of that car to the crown. And they now fucking tax you for using that car and make you have to pay land. I hate to make you feel stupid, but I just want to understand how them having it. You understand me? Oh, bigger game. Just cool and correct, man. Me hate for make the people feel stupid, but me have to wake them up. They say, look, fool. You spend millions of dollars and buy a product. And after you buy the product, they then say to you, you have to register. You not poor, you not understand that. And go register the car. It is a legal action, so the word register then becomes interpreted in law, because it's a legal document you sign. You then assign superior ownership of that thing to the crown. And the crown, then you have to pay them registration. All of these things, is taxes. Only the crown levy tax, and they make you pay for what you thought you own. And it's no longer your own again. And then you do the same thing with your children. Two people have sex. This child didn't exist. It just popped out of nowhere. They said birth. And you take that child and register that child. You take that child and you assign superior ownership of that child to the crown. Jano. Dreadful. Stevie Wonder. If you believe in something you do not understand, then you're bound to suffer. The song is called Superstition. So it's clearly that Jamaicans have been operating on a superstition. The word appeared as a pillar of blazing flame out of the darkness. The name of the word is reason. Reason is the offspring of thought. Reason divides light from dark and establishes truth. The word appeared as a blazing pillar of flame. You register your car, you register that, you sign over everything to the crown. You subject yourself. Here's a big game. It's called, let me tell you the name, appendage contracts. It's called adhesions. So when you apply for the driver's license for people, their driver's license, right? The driver's license application is one sheet of paper, right? The driver's license application is one sheet of paper. And you fill out that. But in the back of the offices and at the office of the registrar, remember that your Chief Justice is the official records keeper for the Crown. The registrar is the deputy records keeper. Look at the birth certificate. It states that. It doesn't tell you who is the official records keeper, but it tells you that the registrar is the deputy records keeper. If you could only understand the games they play with you and they get you into without you understanding, and the arrogance of us is going through the system that we have not sought, humble ourselves to understand. I carry a particular kind of energy and attitude. Enough ones on one look upon I and say, boy, for humble. I try to show one, say, listen, do you know how humble I had to be to acquire all of this knowledge, it meant that I admitted so much that I did not know. I don't know how to get any more humbler than that, you know. If you want to see humility, humility is best displayed in knowledge. Because in order to acquire any level of knowledge, one must be so humble that you acknowledge that you don't know. This is where many people falter, because many people clearly, based on what I'm stating and demonstrating, have been pretending to know. That's where we're getting screwed. Everybody oppose, peer posing, more than pulse fashion week to blood clean. So you're the game of them play upon you. So since you register and you're owned by somebody, because look, you know, let me explain to the game. They monetize on your part of the wealth of Jamaica and capitalize on it, you know. But I'm going to give you two scenarios where you don't know about. How is a loan created? When you go to the bank and you take out a loan, now the banks are not permitted to lend you money that people put in the bank. You know that? Hold on, did you know that? So the banks are not, by law, allowed to lend you people's money. So when you go to the bank and get a loan and you think of money where people put in the bank, no. I'm going to explain to you exactly what they do to you. When you go to the bank, banks are registered. Now go and check out the registration of all the banks. Don't listen to Dane, prove Dane wrong, or educate Dane by finding something that he missed. We'd appreciate it immensely. The banks are registered to take promissory notes. A promissory note is a promise to pay this. They're registered to take that. The loan agreement, go back and look at every loan agreement. And if you understand to read in law, you know that it's a promissory note. That is why it's only your signature upon it. You don't have the bank signature. So, your promissory note, which is however crafted, is that you're borrowing $3 million to buy a car. So you've promised to work to generate $3 million plus the interest. That's what you just did with that. You promised to generate $3 million plus the interest. That's what you did. The bank then takes your promissory note and takes it to the Securities Commission office at the Bank of Jamaica, or whichever international bank they might use, and take it to the securities office. That's the security. You promised to pay. And then once they have done that and deposited that, they are now allowed access to $3 million. Which they give you. You created that $3 million with your promissory note, but they don't tell you that. And then they make you work to pay them back the $3 million plus the interest. Do you understand the level of scam that's being played on your ignorance? Every Jamaican who ever take out a loan created that money with their signature, you know, their promissory note. But you go through the bank will tell you that. And the bank make you pay them back the $3 million where you create, plus interest. If that's not a scam, well, I must be a quadruplet. Can you imagine 4 of me? Oh, damn. Yeah, that would have been nice for enough people. It is a form of extortion. People need to understand this. So all these pose where we are posing and we think we're making it in life. No, you're making a fool of yourselves by entering into things that you don't understand. Liberation time now. We approve the present administrative system a failure. So either the UIC will say, I forgot, come with a constitution that gives in the people a true constitution. And if you have that true constitution ready, me, we campaign for make the Jamaican people know, say, see to us in the liberation, yeah. And we educate them at the smallest level, going at any corner, any getter, everywhere. We communicate with the people and show them, say, them drunk here did that trick on you, you know. Them dirty drunk here in orange and green did that trick on you, you know. The people's life energy sucked out of them. That's why Rasta said Babylon a vampire. Because they are vampires. So it's either not going to do that and get rid of them fool and put it in the UIC. But we are set to Joseph, Jappy, make sure set. You present the people that's the first thing the party is supposed to work on right now. Because if you're not working on a constitution, Joseph, and on what framework you plan to liberate the people, we know the constitution must be ready to present by the next election. A draft of it and have the people's referendum agree to it. I must be ready to speak on all aspects of it, every area. If we're ready, we're ready to liberate the people. Outside of that, technically, if there was a Maroon community ready with its internationally recognized indigenous national card. Anybody here talk about ID card, don't know what I go on. It must be an indigenous nationality card. You must possess a nationality. So an indigenous nationality card. You see me? And let us say the Charlestown Maroons come up with their indigenous nationality card. And 1.5 million Jamaican, because that indigenous nationality card now places you outside the jurisdiction of the British Crown. You know, operating as an indigenous, not as the fictional Jamaican name with them they try give. You understand me? And once you operate on that, it means you're tax free, no duty at the airport, you're indigenous. I decide for that. And then now if we have 1.5 million Jamaicans take the indigenous nationality card, you know, that's revolution. Vox populi, Vox Dei, the voice of the people becomes the voice of God. 1.5 million Jamaicans say they chose to be indigenous rather than being wards of the British Crown. That's a global declaration, legit and legal right there. The voice of the people speaks. So if the Maroon communities can get themselves together and get their establishment, effective global establishment of their indigenous status properly, and stop the hanky-panky, okey-pokey amongst themselves, and get it done, however it must be gotten done, whoever needs to get it done, them can get rid of them fantasy games and waste of time amongst themselves and do it, and then present the Jamaican people have an option. And like me know say more people would want to not pay tax than who want to pay tax. All we need is 1.5 million Jamaicans. On top of the next 20 million people in the world, we know ready for come take indigenous nationality status out of the freedom land that has never been corrupted. Nobody can question them, you know. If we have just like Switzerland, Monaco, all these places that have citizenship for money so you see that we must offer that to as Maroons. Your duty free and your tax free if you're a big international sportsman and you're residing here and you're a resident here. Your money bank here, it means that it's tax free. Nobody can tax you. No way, Jamaican government, nobody, just like how if you're there Switzerland, if you're a citizen of Monaco. We have 20 million people in the world, we're ready to do that. And take the citizenship. If we are selling it at $10,000, a whole per money the community makes some fixed thing. If that's what we want to do. And we have 1.5 million Jamaicans have them indigenous nationality card, removing themselves from the jurisdiction under our international rights as the United Nations Charter for the Rights of Indigenous People. Remove themselves from out of that and come under our umbrella. Legitimately, without even an election. Backward and crew have to go. Pack their bags and go. We don't even have to fight them, you know, you understand? Intelligence rules the world, and ignorance bears the burden.